So thank you so much for joining me. I'm thrilled to have you on Digital Wow. And I feel like, I'm pretty blessed to see you twice in 1 week, once in real life and now online. So for those of you who don't know your story or your career to date, can you kind of fill us in on a little bit of the backstory?
Yeah, sure. So I currently am working full-time as a brand and content strategist. So I work with small businesses on, basically developing content strategy for them and really pulling in that brand story piece and really helping them understand what it is that they are offering and being able to create content around that to really drive sales in their business. So my background is in marketing. I worked in corporate for about 8 years. Going through a whole lot of different industries. I was one of those people that would chop and change jobs within the first sort of 12 months to 2 years. I always found like I needed new challenges, and having your own business is definitely a great way to have challenges all the time.
Absolutely.
But kind of just fell into this consulting business because I started a healthy lifestyle blog and did that for about 2 years. And in doing that, I was speaking to a lot of small business owners regularly to develop content for them for the blog. And I noticed that a lot of them didn't have marketing strategies at all. Like, even if they've got this beautiful yoga studio that they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, fit out and all that sort of thing, they don't actually have a strategy in place for how to bring more people into their business. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'd never worked with small businesses before. So I then started doing a bit of consulting on the side of that, and then decided to just go into it full time from there.
Amazing. And how long have you been full time in the business?
I've been full-time for about a year since I moved back to Perth. Before that, I was doing a part-time job as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So amazing. And it's funny that you kind of touched on, I guess the challenges as well as the kind of eye-opening situations that you have when you do start to work with smaller businesses, because I wrote about that in my email that went out to subscribers this morning, because I was reflecting on my, I was reflecting on that myself, and it's such a shift from working in larger businesses or in more corporate kind of settings where you're one of many in a marketing team. Usually you might have a kind of an area of focus or specialty, and then when you start to work with small businesses, you kind of, you're really directly impacting them. You're working one-on-one sometimes with the business owner, and sometimes they're asking you for, such a wide scope of activity. And it's really nice to be able to kind of bring all of that to the table and work one-on-one with businesses and really see that impact.
And I think also when you work with small business owners, there's such a greater passion element rather than working in corporate where you've got bosses who, like, it's just their job. It's not something that they've created themselves, and that they're so excited to see, grow and flourish. And even if it's a side hustle and they've got a couple of businesses running, I've got a couple of clients that have 2 or 3 businesses on the go. So it's just so awesome to be kind of drawn into that. And it's such a great feeling when anything that you do for them actually makes an impact as well. Yeah.
And the milestones can be, I guess, in the scheme of things or the scale of things, smaller, but they have far greater impact, and they're far more exciting because they mean so much more to a smaller business as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're both loving working with smaller businesses.
Yes, absolutely.
What type of industries do you normally kind of specialize in, or where do your passions lie when it comes to kind of executing content and creating content for clients?
A lot of them are in the health and wellness space, just because that's where I'm super comfortable. I find if you're writing content, you really need to understand the content. In saying that, I do have a couple of clients that I don't have a lot of experience in the industry, and I'm still creating content for them, but I really write from a super personable voice. So I find that if it's something that I get or I'm passionate about or I feel like I could be their end customer, then I feel like I can write in a way that really engages that person directly. So I've got, you know, a few natural beauty brands. I've got a few like lifestyle brands. I've also got a photographer, which I have no experience in photography. But that's been a really good one, because I found that if you're a good content writer, you're really good at doing research and writing in your own voice, and being able to package up all this other stuff that's out there and put it in a way that has a, you know, a unique spin to it that's going to directly relate to their customers. And I think I've definitely picked up that skill. I picked up that skill back in uni when I remember doing my double degree. There was this one unit that I hated. I just didn't get it. In the first year, we had to do it for 3 years. So 6 semesters of this unit. It was horrible. It's called Cultural Identities Text. And it was a core unit. And that was in my communications degree. And in the first year, I was like, I don't get this. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what I'm doing. But by the 3rd or 4th year, I started to understand how to research journals in a way that I could just pull out content and then create it into my own argument, even though I didn't really know what I was talking about. But I kind of went through a whole lot of journals and go, okay, these relate, pulled out the color highlighters, and, you know, these particular arguments relate to these arguments. Okay, we'll pull those together and we'll write something in my own words, even if it wasn't something that I particularly understood or believed in, or but it's so funny, because going into marketing, that wasn't really a skill that I had to practice that much. I was mainly in coordination type stuff. And so, it was funny. I was just reflecting on it recently, actually, and I was like, that is actually a skill I think I picked up, even though it wasn't taught. It was something I had to learn on the go. And
now it's so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Definitely. Now, having the flexibility to, I guess, design your own routine, you know, daily routines and that type of thing, how do you set up your day to kind of day or week? And do you have kind of certain days where I know you're a big fan of kind of batching content. Do you have certain tasks that you try to allocate to different days? And what does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, so just talking about a week, I guess. So for me, I have a YouTube channel, which I know you're across. But so I release weekly videos for that. So on Mondays, I pretty much dedicate my day to YouTube in some capacity, whether that be writing and researching scripts, or recording, or editing, or uploading, or promotion. And Mondays are pretty much dedicated to that. I do a little bit of other content stuff for my own business as well on that day usually. And then Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays are pretty much dedicated to client work. If I have to take a client meeting on a Monday or Friday, I do, but generally the actual bulk of the content and writing and all that sort of thing I schedule for those 3 days. And then Friday I try to leave as a day where I can start doing stuff to help grow my business. So I'm launching a new course in a couple of weeks, and, you know, do some more personal development stuff. So I'm a big fan of online learning. I mean, I'm creating courses in the space, but also I learn a lot from other people. So I like to be able to dedicate a little bit of time to that, because otherwise you kind of just get lost and don't just keep running on the treadmill and forget about it. So that's kind of my week. But from a day perspective, working from home is so nice, but sometimes, especially in winter, I've found it really hard to get moving in the morning. My husband works from home as well. So he works on Melbourne time still. He's working for a company in Melbourne. So he has to be up, which is good. So otherwise I'd probably sleep in a bit longer than what I should. But yeah, get up, have breakfast, have a tea, and I try to do some reading, or maybe watch some YouTube videos or something like that. Try and just either learn something or do something a bit more mindful, not get straight into work or into social media straight off the bat. And then, I've got a puppy, Willow. She's a 1-year-old cavoodle. So I usually take her for a walk, and then after that I kind of get into my day from there.
Amazing. Now, I'm dying to know if you've got any kind of productivity hacks, or I guess how you kind of keep on top of stuff, because I know you produce such a huge amount of content for yourself and for clients. Do you use any techniques or apps, or how do you keep yourself organized?
I know you mentioned before I do batching, and batching for my own content is so valuable. So like I said, Mondays is usually my YouTube day, but that doesn't mean I'm writing, recording, editing in that one day. I'll spend one Monday a month writing scripts. I'll spend one Monday a month doing the recording, and then trying to do the editing in one day. It can be a little bit hard depending on where I'm at, but I find that's something I can kind of do on the fly. But especially recording content, because it takes so much effort. You've got to have the right energy, and you've got to, do your hair, put your makeup on, all those sorts of things, which I don't do every day, to be honest. You're lucky I've done that this morning. But yeah, it's just like you have to have that energy. And I find once you have that energy, you can kind of just keep going and I try and record 4 videos in one go. And then it's kind of done for the month, which is pretty awesome. And also from a strategic point of view, it means I'm thinking about how that content all relates to one another, rather than coming to a Monday and going, I need to release a video tomorrow. What's it going to be about? I'll come up with some random idea. It just allows you to be a lot more strategic as well. But on that note around strategy and content, I've recently released a video about repurposing, and I think that is such a big content hack that a lot of businesses don't realize or think that they have the permission to do. I was at a workshop recently I ran, and I was talking to someone about creating content, and they're like, there's just so much to do. I've got to write my blog, then do an email, then social media. I'm like, are you repurposing the content for all the platforms? And they're like, no, I thought I had to create something unique for every single platform, because what if someone reads all 3? Yeah. It's like, people are busy. They don't engage with every single thing that you do. And even if they do, if you just word it slightly differently and create it unique for that platform, then it's going to be received differently. When someone's scrolling through Instagram, they're in a completely different mindset to when they're reading your blog or your email. So I think just understanding that it's okay to use the same ideas and concepts again and again, it's actually valuable for your business to do that, because you're being known for something rather than trying to create new stuff every time.
Yeah. And if the content is high quality and giving value and educational, or whatever the main thrust of the content is, if it is of quality, and if people do happen to see it twice in one day, it's not going to annoy them. If it's poor quality content, then they might get a bit like, oh, here we go. But if it's great content and it's, that kind of cornerstone content and pillar content, then yeah, absolutely. Reshare that, rework it, repurpose it, because it is so important to not feel like you have to reinvent the wheel, but to leverage the stuff that you've already got as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. I did see that video. It was a good one.
Yeah, good,
I did do a little bit of a binge on some of your most recent YouTube videos.
It's so funny. So many people say amazing. that they'll not watch it for 4 weeks, and then they'll binge 4 videos in one go. But I guess that's the YouTube model. It works so well for binging content, because you kind of oh, that's interesting. And if you can create videos that lead on to the next video, it works really well from that perspective.
Yeah. Now, this might be a good segue. So chatting a little bit of YouTube might be a good segue into, I guess, any digital marketing tips or digital hacks or tactics that have really kind of helped you shift your business and really focus your business. I know that you do spend a lot of time creating content for YouTube, so it's obviously a channel that you're focusing on. So feel free to talk about that. But, is there anything that you really feel has made a big difference in your business from a digital perspective?
Yeah, I mean, my whole business is pretty much digital marketing. So it's kind of, Yeah, when was it? It was probably at the start of the year. I started sending out a weekly newsletter that wasn't just promoting my YouTube video for the week. It was actually talking about something that was happening in my business, or like something I'd learned, or I noticed your emails are actually quite similar to that. It's not just promoting something, it's actually talking about something a bit more personal, and it kind of brings that storytelling element into it. I found since doing that has helped me so much with engaging with people. I'm actually getting responses to those emails, which is amazing, because getting a response to an automated email is pretty rare. And when someone responds like, "This hit home with me, thank you so much," it's like, okay, cool, that's really working. And obviously some weeks there'll be no replies, but other weeks I'll have 10, and it's like, it just, I guess, it reinforces that that's such a great platform for communication. People think that email's dead and people get too many emails. And while I think people do get too many emails, and there's a lot of promotional emails out there, actually being able to understand how to leverage the power of email and really speak to your audience in a way that is relatable, is personal, and it gets them to build that trust with you, and gets them to understand who you are and hopefully buy from you in the future, or ask you to work for them in the future. But I think it does take a lot of consistency and practice and dedication, because it is something that I think you need to do regularly and on a weekly basis. But one other thing I did want to talk about, which is completely different, it's more around the organization type aspect. I've recently started using Asana because two of my clients were using it, and I love that tool. So if anyone's looking for some sort of project management, helpful, useful, like just getting everything into one place, it's the best. I was using Trello before, and it was just really hard to plan my week. It just didn't work how I wanted it to. And oh my God, Asana is the best. So it's free. I don't know. Do you pay for it, Kat?
I don't. I'm still using the free version because the free version's pretty much got what I need.
Exactly.
The only thing that I would love in the free version is probably the templated projects. So I tend to kind of use templated projects if I'm doing like a web development project where there's a lot of kind of subtasks that are quite standard and that type of thing. So being able to quickly replicate those types of things would be handy, but it's not a deal breaker for me at the moment. But I agree. I've used Trello and I've used Asana. And I know people either love Trello or they love Asana. So it must be something about the way that our brains work. But I agree. I absolutely love Asana. I love that you can have, your projects with your subtasks, and even subtasks having subtasks, and lists within lists. And I just love that. So you can tick stuff off. And I really love
color coding. You can color code everything, which is awesome.
And for a content strategist, like yourself, being able to organize, a content strategy, I can absolutely see how you'd be leveraging, all of that functionality in there for different clients, for your own work, and for building courses, and that. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. It didn't come up on my screen, so it's all good. We don't know who rang you.
Okay, good.
Totally fine. I agree. Yeah. So I think when you're dealing with, ideas, and, you need somewhere central where you can brain dump and you can kind of just park stuff and get it out of your head, and then start to organize it into some kind of format. And I totally agree. Asana is where it's at. 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
So it's not
Thank
really
you
a
for
digital
sharing
marketing tip, but it's just more of a organizational productivity thing that I've just taken on board in the last couple of months, and I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely. What's one thing that brings you wonder every day?
I loved this question, and I was like, wonder, that's such an interesting perspective. But what came to mind straight away was how connected and supportive we have this beautiful Girlboss community, both in Perth, in Australia, internationally, which I think has stemmed largely from Instagram. And it's just amazing that you can make these incredible connections with people online in such an easy way, be able to share, you know, stuff that's happening in your day and watch what other people are up to and feel like you actually know them before you know them. And it's really awesome as as someone that works with clients, because a lot of my clients aren't in Perth, so I haven't even met them. I've got clients in the States and all over Australia, and they're like, I feel like I know you because you share so much on stories. And it's like, that's really cool. Like, especially when so many I think especially female-led, you know, passion-led businesses are so much wanting, you know, if they're going to hire someone, they want someone that fits their vibe and that is, you know, someone that they would want to go for a coffee with, or someone that is going to be on the same page as them, not just potentially the best expert in whatever it is. And it's just so cool. It's so different to what it was like when I was back in corporate, because you go to an agency and you might become friends with the account manager, but you won't even know the people that are working on your work. And not to the same sort of level either.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It's you just kind of think, wow, how is the landscape that we work in going to be different in another 5 years, given, you know, the barriers to connectivity are so low, and you can work with anyone kind of anywhere around the world. It's so exciting. But gee whiz, like, what is going to happen in 5 years' time, and how are we going to be reflecting on the good old days of doing an Instagram live? We'll probably, you can't even think at the moment what could even be possibly coming. Some of it was probably going to be a bit scary and intrusive, as it always is with technology. But I agree. It's so lovely, particularly when you typically work on a day-to-day basis, kind of solo, or from home, or that type of thing, to feel so connected and so supported, even when you have your own business and you're a one-woman show as well.
Absolutely. And
agree.
These people almost become like your cheerleaders as well. Like, they'll notice your wins before you almost do, and they're like, you're doing so well, or, you know, I'll keep going. And you're like, oh, cool. Like, I am doing a good job. Like, you know, like, you forget when you're stuck in your own business, especially when you're so passionate about what you're doing, you always feel like you're striving for something bigger and better, that it becomes hard to just go, reflect on the stuff that you've actually achieved and look at that sort of stuff. And it's really nice when other people notice it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Celebrate all those wins with you, and have those kind of chats that you would normally have in a, you know, when you were back kind of corporate side, when you were working in a team. Yeah. But they're the team that you get to choose, which makes it even more beautiful, because they're not just random people that you've been, you know, stuck with. They're people that you actually kind of vibe with, and that you have such a good time, you know, online with, and then in real life as well.
I love that. Yeah, that's so true.
Hey, yay.
Yeah.
All right. So, final question. What's one thing that what do you love most about digital marketing? I know that you work across, you know, a number of areas, and we've kind of touched on, you know, quite a few kind of elements of this, but overall, as I guess, you know, as tactics that you execute for clients, perhaps, what do you love the most, and what that digital marketing allows you to do?
Well, I think I've kind of touched on it a little bit, but email marketing is definitely an area I see small businesses really being able to take advantage of. And I think it's a real missed opportunity for a lot of businesses, and the businesses that are really leveraging it well are getting a lot of results from it. And it's just doing it the right way and not just spamming people with sales content. And I think having the practice on, you know, social media, people are starting to understand it's not just about selling your products. It's about creating this story. And in, you know, other content that they create online, that they, will start to be able to create email content that's really delivering value rather than just selling their products or services.
Absolutely.
So, I think that storytelling piece is a really cool one with digital marketing. I think it's something that it is so accessible to small business owners because you can do it for free. Whereas back in the day of traditional marketing, you had to pay for everything. You know, you had to pay for your page ads or your television ads or a letterbox drop or whatever it was all paid for stuff, and the only free stuff you could get is PR, which is so hard to really control the story, for one, but also get in front of people regularly, because people are just joining in that story every now and then, or when you've done a launch or when you've done something exciting. So yeah, I think it's just digital marketing is so awesome because, yeah, it's so accessible. And like you were saying, everyone's starting new businesses and stuff. It's going to be so interesting to see what this landscape's like in 5 years' time. But it's also really cool because even though a lot of those businesses, as we know, fail, people pick up so many new skills and hobbies, and they're stretching themselves in ways I don't think we ever were encouraged to do so in traditional education, that I think it's still not a bad thing. Even if a business fails, it's really not a bad thing because you've learned so much from it. And even if you do it as a hobby or a side hustle or that sort of thing, then it's just another thing to add to you as a person and something that makes you interesting and something to talk about and learn from. And that's the other cool thing about digital marketing is you don't have to hire a professional to do it. Like, even though you and I are professionals in this space, you don't have to, and you can learn a lot online, and you can, you know, have a go at least for the first 12 months, 2 years, and then hire someone professional to scale up and make it bigger and better and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But in those initial stages, you can really have a go yourself and do it all for free, which is incredible.
Yeah. And I think that's such a nice perspective on it as well, because, you know, digital marketing kind of does kind of reduce a lot of those barriers. And again, like you said, you know, a lot of businesses don't make it past a certain point, or people change their minds, or personal circumstances change and things like that. So there's many reasons why a business that starts today won't be around in a few years. But again, going through the process of launching a business and, you know, launching your social channels and getting an email list going and creating content and telling your story, you're learning invaluable skills that can help you in communication with other people. It can help you with, you know, starting another business or going, you know, back into work for someone else as well. So again, it's a really nice perspective. It's not wasted time and energy. It's all, you know, very, very valuable stuff that can be reused and repurposed in other life situations.
Yeah, and I think even just starting your own business is putting yourself out there, and it's taking a risk. And in corporate, often people stay in jobs for 10 years because it's comfortable and they know what they're supposed to be doing. They can see their, you know, what their career path looks like, what's their next promotion, when that's going to happen, what they need to do to get there. But when you're creating a business, it's so, you don't know what's going to happen, and you're really taking a chance. And I think even just going through that process of creating something and launching something and seeing what happens, it's such an amazing personal development opportunity for you that I think it's often seen so negatively. Oh, what if I fail? You know, or all these businesses fail, whatever. It's like, but there's so many cool things that come from starting a business. And even just if you start a business, you network with a few people and you make some new connections, some new friends, like even just that in itself is an awesome asset from starting a business.
100%, because again, when you find those, you know, because everyone knows the older you get, you know, the harder it is to find those friends, because you naturally just kind of, you either make friends with the people that you work with, or when you're a business owner, when you network and you meet other people online, and then in real life, they do become, you know, they have the potential to become really, really close friends, because again, you're going through those shared experiences and, you know, commiserating and celebrating and supporting each other. And, you know, the bonds that can grow through that are probably lifelong as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love our little Girlboss community we've got in Perth. It's amazing. Like it is good. It's so cool to be a part of, and be able to just connect with so many people that, like, I've never met people like a lot of the people we've got in our little bubble, you know, and it's awesome. I love it.
It is awesome. Well, you are awesome, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy Monday. What are you working on today for the rest of the day? Is it a batching day?
It's content creation day. So I'm actually working on a freebie about email marketing. It's going to be on how to write better emails.
Perfect.
So that's going to be a good one. Yeah.
Something I'm sure that you're coaching a lot of clients on.
Yeah, for sure. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us. I couldn't kind of keep leaning over and waving back, but there was lots of waves and lots of highs. So thank you so much to everyone for joining us.
Yeah,
and thanks again, Kate. It was a real pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks so much for having me, Kat. It was awesome to be able to come on. This is my first little interview situation like this. So,
it's fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. It's really fun.
It's super fun, isn't it? I love it. So I'll download the video and we'll do all of that stuff and we'll get it up on IGTV as well.
Awesome. All right.
See you, darling.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.